Hi guys, this is Pradeep. So today we will take some interview questions related to particularly month-end activities. Now in this series I already prepared two videos. So those are maybe related to year-end. So it is coming under the same category. You can check those videos. I will add in the description. Now as a functional consultant, your role is very important when you are going to handle the month-end activities or year-end activities. And here, as a support consultant, you are not going to handle only the finance part as a finance consultant, because when you are handling any support project, multiple roles will be assigned to you or multiple tickets will be assigned you. So here you can say that you are going to get month-end activities related to finance, related to logistic, related to controlling, because when you are there in the implementation project, that time maybe your role is related to finance or controlling only, but as a support consultant, a lot of companies, they are giving the tickets related to logistic to the finance consultant also, because they try to reduce the resource cost. So instead of adding two support consultants, they can also go for one support consultant, and that consultant having some more knowledge on the other than the finance logistic knowledge also. So here what are the issues I'm going to handle here? It is not related to only finance, it may be some other areas will be there. So I will add in the 2024 playlist so that it will help you. Now in this first category, so first activity we will take here, that is accrual deferral. This is related to finance activities. So not only I'm going to exactly going to explain about the technical part, also I will give you the little bit business process related to this, so that it will help you in understanding the concept, and accordingly you are going to try in the system also. Now let's understand what is this accrual deferral and when it is applicable. Accrual deferral means whenever we are working from the accounting point of view, so we are recording the transactions not when actually it is incurring, on the basis of due also. So on that point of view, whenever the particular transaction is going to record in the system, that time, or actually it is happening, that time we are also going to record. Plus when actually it is due, even if it is not entered anything, or let's say we have not received any documentation from the other party, still it is due, and we have to record it. So in this category, let's take one example so that it will help us to understand. For example, and it is one of the very, recurring activities. Like every month you will find couple of this type of activities where you need to work on these areas related to your month-end activities. Now for example, let's say we have one housekeeping expenditure is there, and that housekeeping expenditure is related to one particular month. And for example, let's say this expenditure, which is we have received this expenditure, or we have received this particular services. So the service is housekeeping. So this housekeeping services we have received, and here let's say the cost is 1300, and this one is related to which month? Related to, let's say for a particular month. Okay, so let's take the example of December. So this cost is related to December. Now already we have received this one in the December 2023. December 23 we have received the services. Now we need to post this expenditure. That means housekeeping expenditure is going to debit and vendor is going to credit. So we need to record this one. But in December, the vendor has not submitted any invoice for this particular particular expenditure or particular services. But although the vendor has not submitted, so that means we are not going to raise any invoice for this one, or we are not going to make the payment. But still we have to record in the system. Okay, as expenditure is already incurred, we have received the service, and it is already due. So that time, what should be your accounting entry and how we are going to handle it? So it is expenditure, housekeeping expenditure 1300 is going to be debit, and the credit will be, as vendor has not submitted the particular invoice, so that means we can say it is liability. So that we can take here that it is accrual, or this is known as your accrual report. It is your accrual outstanding liability, simple language we can say. So this accrual is going to be credit 1300. But definitely in January, vendor is going to submit that particular expenditure, that particular invoice. So that time it will be reversed, and actual invoice will be entered in the system, that housekeeping expenditure is going to debit and vendor is going to credit. If vendor is going to submit this expenditure, let's say in December we received the service and vendor submitted the invoice, then this accrual entry is it will not be there. But as vendor has not submitted, so that is why we have to post this entry in the system. And how we are going to post this one? So let's try this one in the system. So the transaction code for this one is FBS1. Now here what will be your posting date? So this will be the closing activity. So the posting date, obviously we are going to take here the last working. So this will be our last working of December. As per my examples, I am taking this expenditure is related to December. So although right now I am in January, but I assume that we are in the month of December and we need to post this accrual entry in the system. So 31st December 2023, then enter your document. So it's GL posting. The document will be SA. Then enter your company code. So let me take here the company code. Suppose let's say company code Z300. So posting period will be what? It's December. So posting period has to be 9th posting period, right? So this is our accrual posting. Accrual posting. Then this entry in future we have to reverse it, right? So in future we have to reverse it, means in January we are going to reverse it. So once we will receive the invoice from the vendor, so select here the reversal reason and it will be accrual deferral posting. Right now it is accrual posting, so select here the accrual reversal date. You take, like, you know that when you are going to receive the invoice, accordingly you can post it. So I'm taking here reversal date as 1st January. So reversal January. Now you can post your entry, the normal accounting entry. So debit will be expenditure, so 40. Then the required GL account, housekeeping expenditure. Debit, the amount as per example, that is 1300. Then a business area is mandatory field as per my configuration. So I just selected randomly one business area. Then the credit. Now here we are not going to make the payment. So that means we are not going to credit the bank. We don't have the invoice also in December. So that's why here we are going to credit the outstanding liability or the due. My outstanding account, I will show you this document. I will show you this report also. Then complete this entry. So credit and the business area. Okay, so you can simulate and you can post it. Now this document posted, I can see the document number 10017 posted, but this is not your actual entry. This is the actual accrual entry. Suppose I want to see this particular one in the system, then how can I will see it? So now as we are in month of January and we have received the invoice, so that is why we need to reverse the original transaction, because right now if you'll check the document number, last one we have posted 10017. So just check the document. The document is 10017. This is the document. So housekeeping expenditure is going debited and the accrual is credited. So instead of bank or vendor, it's credit accruals. And here important thing is this document is updated with a reversal reason, means this document will be reversed in the month of January. So now I'm going to run the reversal entry. So this is transaction code F.81. So here you need to select which document. I just posted one document in this company code. So that's why I'm not selecting here any document number, but if you want to particularly reverse any document, you can select that. Then remove the test run and process. So once you will process, you will find the reversal document will be posted for this entry, because now once we will receive the invoice, we will post this invoice as your actual entry, which normally you know that is a B60 entry will be there. Now let's reverse it. So it's not FB08, it's accrual reversing. So I just selected it and execute. Processing. So I can see here one document is there, document number 1007, which we know that it is posted, and when it was posted in the December it was posted. The closing date was my posting date, means 31st December, because the services we have received in December, but as we have not received the invoice, so that is why we have posted the accrual entry. So it is good to go. Now process it. So remove test run, process. Processing completed. Now if you'll check your accrual document, accrual GL, so this should be reversed. Check it. Now it's 0. So accrual entry posted. So accrual entry posted and it is reversed. So now what is your actual entry? Your expenditure entry. The expenditure entry, let's check that one too also. 4018. Now you can see here the debited 4018 entry is your debited 1300 debit, and it is credited with your accrual entry. Now this entry is credited, so that is why here you can see the balance is showing in your actual expenditure, 1300, but accrual entry reversed, right? So actual entry reversed. So next we are going to post the expenditure through the vendor invoice once you will receive it. So that I'm not showing here, that already you are familiar. So this is the example where we have not received any document or any, like in this case example. So you can post in the month of December the accrual entry, and in the next month you are going to reverse that document. So this is also very common scenario when you are going to add the month end in your activity in your resume. Now coming to the next scenario. Next scenario, we will create one recurring scenario, and that we are going to post. Now it's again another very common example when we are going to pay the rent expenditure. So rent expenditure with your lease holder or the owner, when you are going to pay the invoice. So that time it's not like monthly basis we are going to pay. Although expenditure you are going to record monthly basis, but invoice or the payment done or invoice raised quarterly, normally quarterly, 6 monthly as per the contract. So now assume that the invoice which we have received in the month of January, it is not for only January, it is for January to March, January to March. So I am following April to March reporting. So that means for my last quarter, I have received this invoice on a particular date. So, but it is for 3 months, and assume that the monthly invoice is, monthly rent is 1000, and here we have received the invoice for 3000. So what we are going to do, are we going to post normal expenditure as rent expenditure 3000 in the month of January, which is not correct, because as per the accounting, whatever actually it is due, that you are going to record in the business expenditure. So in the January you can't record 3000, but actually we have received the invoice for 3000, so that we need to make the payment as per the contract. Quarterly basis we are going to receive the invoice and we are going to make the payment. Then in this case, how you are going to record this particular transaction? So for this I am going to show you two scenarios. So I will create one recurring entry, which is again very common, and then we will post the batch processing. Okay, so recurring entries are very common in SAP whenever we are going to perform any month-end activities, right? So in this case, what should be your accounting entry? If it is a normal monthly basis, you are going to post this one. So I can say that rent is going to debit, and the vendor is going to credit. Vendor is going to credit and 1000. But in this case, it is rent is fine 1000, but rent is the invoice amount is what? The invoice amount is 3000, and vendor directly we are going to, like normally invoice raise, payment done, but actually for this month of January, how much your rent? Rent is 1000. So we are paying the rent in advance, which is known as your prepaid invoice, correct? So here, as we have received the invoice for 3 months, so what should be the accounting entry? The accounting entry, vendor is going to be credit, obviously. Vendor is going to credit 3000, and debit will be, monthly basis will be the expenditure. But as right now we have received the vendor invoice, so here it should be prepaid rent or any expenditure. I am showing this one on rent, you can try on any expenditure. So prepaid rent is going to be debit 3000. So prepaid rent is going to debit and vendor is going to credit. That is one entry you are going to post. So this will be your normal invoice. Then every month we are going to take that amount. So January month expenditure will be recorded as rent account debit 3000. February rent 3000. January rent will be 1000. February rent 1000. March 1000. But again, manually we are not going to do that. For that we are going to create one recurring. But first let me post this entry in the system. So this entry, we have received the invoice and we are going to post it. And let's say we have received the invoice on 5th or any day. So I'm going to post this entry. Let's check. So I will take the same company code for demonstration. Randomly select one vendor. Let's take this one. And let's take 5th January, entry date 5th, and let me take this invoice date as 2nd, suppose. Okay, so vendor is going to credit, what is the amount? 3000. You may add the tax and all. So here debit will not be your expenditure, rather here you are going to take your debit amount as your prepaid rent. So this one we will take 3016. So debit amount will be 3016 debit. And what is the amount here? Full amount, whatever we have received the invoice, that I have added here. maybe I can add here one business area. Let's take something, let's take this business area. You may add also cost center also, and this one posted. So we got a normal vendor invoice. Then after that you are going to make the payment. But now important here is, this is not month end activity. This is, we have received the invoice and we paid. Month end activity is the recording of that prepaid expenditure which already you have debited. Now that you are going to credit. Now here we are going to create one recurring entry, or we will create one template so that user is going to use that template for every month. So let's create one template for the recurring entry. Transaction code here we will take as FBD1. Select here the first run date. So first run, let me take here, it's January, February, March. So let me take here first run. What will be the last run? Accordingly, you can take the last run. So last run I will take here March. What is the interval? Like what is the frequency? So frequency is every month, monthly basis we are going to run it. And run date you can specify. So I am not adding that one. Then document type, it's normal expenditure, SA. And this is your recurring entry for rent. So debit will be your expenditure. So already we have debited prepaid rent, that we are going to credit, and normal rent is going to be debit. So I'm going to take here office rent, which is one GL account 4019, which is normal. So what is nature of the prepaid account? Prepaid account, we know it is current asset. So that was current asset. Now this is your expenditure. So that is your balance sheet account, which in year end or finally like in end you will find a zero balance. We will see that also. And what is the amount? I am designing a template here. So monthly amount is what? 1000. So 1000 is going to debit. Then add the business area. Then credit will be your prepaid account, which already we have debited in our previous invoice. So we are going to credit 3016. And post it. Now check this one. It's not a document posted actually. It's saying document is stored in the company code Z300. Note this document because this is our recurring document which we are going to use further. So I'm going to save this document because this one required. Now this document, suppose I want to see in the system like this, so many templates can be created for your recurring entries. Suppose I want to see that particular document. So that also you can check. So go to the transaction code F.15 and add the company code and execute. Okay, so this is my template. Now if you'll check what is my rent expenditure, which is in this case 4019, if you'll check this balance, you won't get anything because rent actually it's not posted yet. So if I will check it, nothing. So no transaction posted. That means we have not booked the expenditure. Although we have processed one invoice by debiting the prepaid rent, but expenditure is not posted. So that we are going to post on the recurring basis. Okay, so I'm going to process one recurring entry. Transaction code F14. Last example was outstanding amount, right? So that was housekeeping outstanding expenditure was there. Next month we processed. This one in advance we are processing. So select here company code. So here you can specify the document number which you have created one template that you can copy from here. Right, and then select here the next run date. So next run date, suppose I will select here, that means when it was 1st January. So I will select here the 1st January will be my run date. Okay, and till the last next run date range I am giving here, and it was 31st March. So I will add that one. Okay, so you need to create one batch for this. Create it. Okay, wrong format is there, date. In wrong place I have entered actually. And create the batch, execute. Okay, so session created, batch created. Now with this you will not find until unless the batch is not processed, you will not get that accounting document. I want the doc 4019 should be debited with 1000 account, 1000 amount for the month of January. So for that I need to process the batch. So you can go to system and you can check it, otherwise use the transaction code SM35, select here this one and process it. Whatever you have given the name that you need to select as your branch name and process. Done. Now if you'll check the balances processed. So 1000 for the month of January, only for the month of January it is posted. Similarly, you will get the entry in the February, you will get the entry in the March. So this is again very common scenario when we are, and this one is very helpful. For example, let's say insurance. Okay, so we are going to do the, because insurance always we are paying yearly basis, right? So in that case, let's say boiler insurance or any plant insurance, we are giving a lot of insurance, vehicle insurance. So that also you can record in this way, and it is very common one. So already video is lengthy. So this one I'm going to continue because a couple of more scenarios are there. So that I will add in my next video. So keep watching. If you have any comments, feel free to mail me. Thank you.